But let's move on to uranium, which is an area that I know you've had a huge amount of success recently. This is the big story in commodities right now. It might be the big story of the next 20 years or even beyond that. So, why don't you sort of sum up what's going on in uranium with a bit of context as well, because that's what makes the story so interesting.
Yeah, well, my next door neighbor is probably the greenest person I've ever met in my life. And I was out walking the dog, and I got chatting to him, and I said, "What do you think the greenest form of energy is?" Expecting him to say solar or wind or something like that, and he said uranium, nuclear power, and I was just gobsmacked. This is someone who, his whole life is green, and so largely because of that, I sort of went back and started looking at some uranium companies. And obviously, the uranium price has moved significantly since, well, really August. But I think that if you look at it now compared to where it has been, it's still pretty attractive. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us are familiar with Chernobyl and Fukushima and things like that, but nuclear power has moved on a lot since then, and the reactors are much safer than they used to be. The technology has improved dramatically, and so I think it's going to take a while for the public to sort of, I don't know, buy into nuclear power. But what I particularly like about nuclear power is, one, it's clean, and two, it gives you the base load. And the base load is so important because, if you're living in Texas, you would know that when they had the terrible storms, the solar and wind power got knocked out basically. And so you did need that base load. And the base load is going to basically come from coal, oil, or nuclear. And I think that the way the world is moving, I think that more and more is going to come from nuclear power, and therefore that has to be good for the uranium price.